Look at the front where it says Ames real big. Greetings everyone from Cache, Oklahoma. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I'm in Oklahoma. We're here at this place called the Trading Post, and this is part of like an Indian reservation. Behind me is like a little restaurant and a little store that they have all kinds of neat knickknacks and whatnot in there. It's in literally the middle of nowhere, and we're the only people here right now getting ready to enjoy a meal, and we're actually waiting on the cook to make our food. Now this place is so old. I mean, look at these old signs here, for example, and I'll show you a couple of the other things that we have here. And back there's actually an old amusement park. I believe there are a couple of rides or whatever back there still that we are allowed to check out. And Quanah Parker, which was a Native American, their house is back there too, which we are going to be touring, so I'll be able to take you guys along for that to see. But in the meantime, let's check out the front of this place real quick and show you a couple odds and ends. I just love that old sign. Rides, Eagle Park, camping. And they have it back that way. Now they do have a gate that says no trespassing, but we're part of a tour and we're going to be allowed to go back there and whatnot. Now the park is still a ways away back there, but it's part of a tour that we're doing, so Kayla's mom really wanted to check this out because she loves Native American history, and it's actually pretty neat. It's cultural. I like checking this out myself. I like seeing the old signs here too. Not too many people here right now, just us. and the people that work here, and a friendly little dog just sitting over there, hanging out. Rained overnight and a little bit this morning, so temperatures are nice and low. And I mean, look at the old wagon wheel lights that they have out here for starters. I love this, how should I say it, Southwest or Wild West type of look to it. The old tables, the old Pepsi machine, for instance. Look at this old water fountain here. Drive-in depository. And then in here is where the restaurant is. Yep, see, Quanah Parker tours, made by appointment and donation. So that's what we're going to be doing here. And I'm excited. See, now they got their store here. They have their store here, but due to the staff, you know, they don't have a whole lot of people here. We have to check with them to go in there. But look at all the neat little things you can see through the door. I'm pretty sure we're going to go in there in a little bit. All we got to do is ask. They even got postcards here. So we'll see what happens. Oklahoma. Finally doing a video in good old Oklahoma here. And I'm not even quite sure where we're at. I want to say we're up in this area here. Anyway. So that's pretty sweet. And then in there is the restaurant. And I'll show you that here too in just a moment. Matter of fact, I'll open up the door, show you a couple things in here. Pretty neat looking in here. I like this old setup here too. Like the Coca-Cola lights up there. Or I'm sorry, they're Pepsi-Cola lights. Now that's what I'm talking about. Native American specialty, a fry bread taco. With salsa and sour cream, you got a sweet tea, drink of choice. I love it. This looks amazing, and it's really big too. Okay, so we're going back to see the house and the abandoned amusement park back there, possibly, anyway. And this is on private property, but that truck up there and that gentleman that's unlocking the gate, he's the guy that's given the tour, and we gave a donation so we can go back there and get this guided tour, so we're allowed to do this, and it's probably going to be a lot of fun. So come along with us, and we'll show you what we see. So we're walking back through this gate here to go to the house back there, and we're actually going through what was an old abandoned amusement park, like I was telling you, and we'll show you that in a little while. Some of these old buildings here. This is just stunning. Now a lot of these we probably won't be able to get inside of, but we can still see a few of the things here. A lot of the buildings, the old park. Wow, look at these big ant hills here. Just watch.
Those are red ants. They're endangered.
Wow. And look at some of these old buildings here. Quanah Parker's house, I believe, is this one up here. This is where we're going to first.
Some water, they would look to the north, which is this vicinity. They would see lightning storms occurring. They believed it must be raining to the north, and they kept remaining dry. Same pattern keeps repeating, so they made a journey up here. They did find grass and water. They had a meeting with Quanah. They wanted to know, would he allow them to bring their cattle up here, and if so, what they wanted. Quanah told them he wanted a house like the general at Fort Sill had, only bigger. So the house was built for Quanah. It originally set about 2 miles north of here. If you go over to the creek that's just west of us, you follow it to the north, you'll come to the south side of Wichita Mountains. The house set up on a rise of dirt on the south side of what is known as Quanah Mountain. Quanah is responsible for the wildlife refuge north of us having the buffalo. He wanted the buffalo returned to the prairie. He met with Teddy Roosevelt about that. They started the first National Wildlife Preserve north of us and brought buffalo from the New York Zoo, because the native buffalo had been killed by soldiers in an attempt to make the Indians do what the government wanted them to do. Quanah then lives his life at or near the house. He died in the house. His family continued to live in the house at that original location up until 1956. In 1956, Fortsville needed an area to test fire the Honest John rocket. They seized people's land from the fort north of Lawton to the west to the Indiana Road. It's a 20-mile strip of land about 5 miles in width. At that time, the house was 70 years old. Mrs. Birdsong, one of Quanah's daughters, was living in it. She didn't know what to do about making a move, so she just continues life in the house at that original location. Fortsville doesn't agree with her being there. They go out there and they meet with her again. In order to entice her to agree to leave the premises, they offered to move the house for her, so she did agree. They moved the house to the military crossroads. While it is sitting there on the moving equipment, she goes looking for a place to put it. She couldn't find a rural setting. All she can find is a city lot in the town of Cache to have it moved to, so it's moved into the town of Cache. The mover's job was moving the house. They get the house there, they put blocks underneath it, set it down, and drive away. Mrs. Birdsong comes to the house. She first sees there was no lower porch. The lower porch had to be dismantled in order to move the house. So she puts something in front of the door. She climbs up inside. She sees there's no chimneys. The chimneys had to be removed in order to move the house. So now you can't heat or cook. And there was no provision for water and no restroom. The original site's water was a well you walked over to with a rope and a bucket. You'd pull your water up and carry it into the house. And the restroom was an outhouse. So the house is not very livable. She stays with family and friends. My uncle started Eagle Park here in 1957. There was an amusement park north of us which was also forced to move. It had moved 50 miles west of here, north of the town of Alphas. My uncle was interested in history. He would talk to Mrs. Birdsong to learn about life with Quanah and early day life in the area. And after some time of viewing the house, which was sitting about a block and a half away from where my uncle lived, usually appearing somewhat vacant, he wanted to know, would she be willing to part with the house? If so, he would move it down here and set it up for historical tours. At that time, she wasn't interested. She believed the house would be made livable. But more time passes. Family members that had lived with her were all finding newer, more modern places, so it starts looking like one elderly lady would be living in a big, unmodern house. On Easter morning in 1958, she came to my uncle's house. She stayed in her car. She blew her horn. My uncle goes outside to see what she wants. She calls him son. Not related. Son is something an elderly lady would call a younger man. She said, son, if anything's ever going to be done with the house, she felt it would be up to him. And if he would trade her a livable house for the Star House, she'd go along with the trade. So that's how the house came to be here. On May 23rd of 2015, we were flooded here. Just above that bench on the porch is the high water line, which is about our shoulder height where we're standing.
Wow. So we are heading back to Quanah Parker's house. To think this was flooded years ago. We'd be in waist-high water here. Let's go over this way. Just watch your step. Wow, so that was pretty high. Imagine that. Alright, here's a walk inside. Wow, there's a lot of water damage in here.
Sorry.
So you're fine.
I know about this table.
This is the dining room. That is the original table.
Wow. Guess we ain't going upstairs there, Tom.
There's no upstairs above this part.
Let me ask you, was there ever stairs on the inside or on the outside?
Only inside.
Wow,
As
look at that
far
old
as I
stairs.
know, I mean,
Yeah.
This is the kitchen. When the house was moved down here, Mrs. Birdsong worked with my uncle to help set it up like it was in Quanah's time. From the time of Quanah's death in 1911 until the time the house was moved here in 1958, if a family member was in need of an item from the house that wasn't being used, it could be borrowed from the house. This stove had been borrowed. It was borrowed by a brother of Mrs. Birdsong from a different wife. Quanah had 7 wives living under one roof at one time, and the stove was allowed to be brought back.
Oh, there's no problem at all with that, is there?
You haven't been to Cash in a while?
Yeah, time is really taking a toll on this place. There's a lot of water on the floor here. Wow.
That room in there is the parlor. When the house was being built, the family was living in teepees next to it. It was an exciting time. They would be moving into a house. The wives came into the house, started picking out spaces to make as their own. 2 of the wives chose the parlor as their new space. They didn't know about having a room you would sit and visit in. They only knew they needed a space to call their own. And they chose a room next to Quanah's. This is Quanah's room.
Oh, I can see and hear the water line too. This place is incredible.
This is Tenarcy's room over here.
Is it true that some of this wallpaper was the original from when Quanah had it?
Yeah, this is original wallpaper in the hallway.
Wow.
Most of the other patterns are similar.
Yeah.
When my uncle acquired the house, he started getting it ready for the viewing public. He uncovered patterns and he tried to match them. That is Tenarcy's room. Tenarcy was Quanah's 7th and favorite wife. She got the room to herself while the other wives all shared a room. 2 wives per room times 3 rooms. Apparently, as long as you're the youngest, prettiest, and newest, you'll always be the favorite.
Let's take a look in here. Oh, they got it blocked so you can't go upstairs. Probably because it's weak. And you can see through the ceiling.
That tipped over in the flood and that.
It's broke.
Hmm.
And it broke?
No, it's not broke. It was just
Really dirty.
Wow.
never washed it off.
I could smell that flood in here.
It did not bear weather
I'm sorry.
very well when it got the furniture wet.
This place is incredible. Look at that old car.
You must feel very blessed to have this place.
I don't know. I feel blessed and stressed at the same time, I guess.
And these other houses around here, were they part of the amusement park or were they for something else?
They were moved here after the Star House, so that is the way people always word the question. Were they part of the amusement park? They were part of the historical collection of buildings. The amusement park was over there with no buildings between it. Six Flags or theme parks put a major ride somewhere, And then in between it and the next major ride, they have several places where you can spend money. And, you know, so. But my uncle started with the Star House, then he started looking for other historical structures, or noticed them, which were no longer being used for their original purposes. There's, past the tree line over there, there's a one-room schoolhouse that came from about 8 miles south of town.
Wow.
Over here, to the north of us, is the Cotapony Indian home. They're actually descendants of Quanah, and at statehood, each Indian was deeded a quarter section of land of their choice, rather than being put on a reservation. Quanah didn't want his people on a reservation. He wanted them to have their own tract of land. So he met with somebody in the government before statehood and allowed, got it where the Indians could choose a quarter section tract of land before the white men were allowed to choose their tract.
We walk around. Just got to watch this. These boards are very, they're very weak. Just watch where you step, because a lot of these boards are weak. Oh wow, look at this building. I'll show you this in a second, guys. Watch, there's a nail sticking out. I just stepped on it, went through my shoe. That one completely fell in.
Yeah, that was the church, I think.
Completely fell down. This is quite a sight, though. Definitely seen better days. This house has seen better days, of course, but this is quite the show. I think there's an abandoned amusement park next to this too. We can't go inside of these buildings just because they're in such bad shape inside. They are falling apart. But we can admire them from outside. It's been a nice tour so far, and we're not done yet. We have the abandoned amusement park rides to check out as well. See, this house is leaning. I don't want to be in there if that goes. What a nice day out here, though. Let's look at that house. This is such a neat experience. And we're not done yet. Okay, so now we're back out by the cars where we parked, and where a lot of the rides for this amusement park were, and the ones that still remain. Now, there's some buildings back there we can't get to. These weeds are just way too overgrown to try and work our way back there. I mean, you could try, but we won't get very far. There is this here, and I can't wait to show you the Wild Mouse roller coaster behind me. The remains of that. All the little bugs flying all around. Wow. Oh, there's so many of those little bugs. All right, you ready to see the Wild Mouse coaster, guys? A lot of it is now overgrown with the weeds, but you can see the frame and the tracks for it here, what's left of the tracks. And I'll show you more up here. Now over here we don't have a whole lot. But you see the old lights on the poles here. And you get a better view of the tracks over here. Let me walk around some of these giant puddles. Let me step over here where there's still some pavement. Pretty neat to see. Taking a ride through here. This is where the park used to be. Look at these old vehicles. There's an old rail car right there. A couple of them.
Yeah, I see
There's a bunch of them actually. Box cars. I guess there's train tracks back there.